Thank you. Good evening, councillors, officers and our viewers live streaming tonight's meeting. My name is Councillor Lena Messina. I'm the Mayor of Darebin City Council and the chairperson of tonight's special meeting. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to tonight's meeting. This special council meeting is to consider one matter, action arising from VCAT decision on Northcote Plaza. This will be the only item to be considered at this special meeting unless all councillors are present and they will unanimously agree to consider another matter. I declare this meeting open at 5:38 p.m. Item number 2, acknowledgement of traditional owners. Darebin City Council acknowledges the Wurundjeri Wurrung people as the traditional owners and custodians of the land and waters we now call Darebin and pays respects to elders past, present and emerging. Council pays respect to all other Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people. Council considers and pays tribute to diverse culture, resilience and heritage of Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people. We acknowledge the leadership of Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander communities and their right to self-determination in the spirit of mutual understanding and respect. This meeting is being held virtually pursuant to provisions of Section 395 of the Local Government Act 2020. Should technical difficulties arise by council, the meeting may be adjourned until these are resolved with a maximum of 30 minutes. And if we cannot resolve the problem, we will reschedule the meeting. In such circumstances, an advice message will be shown on your screen. This meeting is being live streamed by video link on the council website, so the public will be able to view the proceedings of the meeting. The meeting is also being recorded and will be made available on the council website as soon as practical after the meeting. There are a few housekeeping rules to consider and technical tips for councillors that I need to pass on. Please leave your video on and mute your sound unless you wish to speak. If you wish to electronically raise your hand, hover over the participants button on the main menu menu and then press the small hand symbol in front of the right hand corner. Please use this if you wish to speak or ask a question or leave this meeting. Alternatively, please place your hand in front of you so I'm able to see should you actually have a question. Councillors, I expect that you'll direct any questions or comments you have through me as the chair, and I'll endeavour to make sure that everyone has an opportunity, but also make sure that we stick to time based on the agenda. Membership, I'd like to introduce councillors in attendance this evening. Councillor Trent McCarthy, Deputy Mayor, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening. Councillor Emily Dimitriadis. We can't hear you.
There we go. Is that better?
That's better. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Gaetano Greco.
Good evening, man. Good evening, everybody else.
Good evening. Councillor Tom Hannon.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, all.
Good evening. Councillor Tim Lawrence. You're on mute, Councillor Lawrence.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everyone else.
Good evening, Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Suzanne Newton.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Councillor Susan Rennie.
Hi to all.
Good evening. Councillor Julie Williams. No, all the way. And I believe she was on her way and having technical difficulties. And officers in attendance this evening, Rachel Olivia, who was the Acting Chief Executive Officer, JD Watson, who's the General Manager, Governance and Engagement, Vanessa Petrie is the Acting General Manager of City Sustainability and Strategy, Catherine Pound, who's the Manager, City Development, Stephen Mann, who's the Coordinator of Council Business, Georgina Steele, who's a virtual meeting host, Rachna Singh, who's a Senior Council Business Officer. Also, I'd like to say good evening and welcome to David Lee in IT, Joel Boyle, who's the Coordinator of Strategy Planning, and item number 3, apologies, I've got Councillor Williams. Good evening, Councillor Williams, and welcome. I'll just wait for Councillor Williams to be fully connected. Good evening, Councillor Williams. Just testing your sound.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no apologies listed this evening. Councillors, the item number 3, disclosures of conflict of interest. Councillors and officers, are there any items or interests of conflict of interest to declare this evening?
No.
No. Thank you. Noted. Item number 4, notice of meeting. Councillors, due to the urgent and extraordinary circumstances associated with the need for council to consider this matter, the council has not fully complied with its governance rules, specifically clause 1.12 regarding the giving of at least 7 days public notice of this meeting. These urgent and extraordinary circumstances relate to the importance of council considering its position within the statutory time frameworks in relation to recent VCAT decision at Northcote Plaza. Pursuant to council governance rules, council was given as much notice as was practical during the notification on its website, www.darebin.vic.gov.au, and via its social media channels. Pursuant to governance rules, this explanation will be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Item number 5, consideration of reports considered confidential. Councillors, we have one confidential report to be considered this meeting. Item number 5.1, action arising from VCAT decision on Northcote Plaza. Councillors, in accordance with Council's Governance Rules 2020, Council can deal with an additional item of business at a special council meeting if all councillors are present and unanimously agree to deal with this matter. Councillors, I'm seeking a move or a procedural motion to omit an additional item of business, the appointment of the Interim Chief Executive Officer, to tonight's agenda. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Rachel, yes.
I need to declare a conflict of interest in relation to that item.
Thank you. I'll wait for you to, thank you.
Thank you. So, councillors, I have a conflict of interest in relation to this matter, and I'll step out of the meeting. I'll step out of the meeting while you consider this item.
Meeting. Can I just confirm, Georgie, that she's actually departed the meeting?
Yes, she has.
Thank you. Councillors, I seek a motion to omit the appointment of the interim CEO item on the agenda for this evening. A mover, moved by Councillor Williams. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Rennie. All those in favour? I need to see Councillor McCarthy's hand.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. That motion has been carried. That the council admit an additional item of business appointed to the interim chief executive officer to this special council meeting. Noted that is on the item as well. Since the rest of the meeting is closed and confidential, I'd like to read out the following. In accordance with section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020, council may resolve to close the meeting to the members of the public to consider the item designated confidential by the acting chief executive officer in accordance with section 3(1) of the Act. Councillor, is there a mover to close the meeting? Moved by Councillor Greco, second by Councillor Williams. All those in favour? Thank you. That is carried unanimously. Noted that Councillor. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Yep. That is carried. Thank you. I declare the meeting to be closed to the members of public at 5:47 p.m. and request officers to cease the live streaming.